The world smells of dust and panic. It clings to the back of the throat. A taste of pulverized earth and coppery tang of fear. Kale, a child of the clan, one of the small tool miners makers. The Homo Habilis is alone. The thunder of the stampede has faded. A dying drumbeat to the west, leaving only the ringing in his ears and the frantic thump of his own heart. He scrambled away from the churning legs of the Giganotosaurus, a river of green flesh that tore the hunting party apart, scattering them like dry leaves. No. The silence that follows is worse. It is a listening silence, heavy and full of teeth. He grips a flaked stone, its edge clumsily sharp. It is one of his first ancient tools, a creation of desperate necessity. But against the true powers of this world, it is a pebble, a child's toy. He is small, lost in a landscape of gigantic ferns and cycads that mock his stature, their shadows twisting into monstrous shapes under the sinking sun. This is the brutal reality of prehistoric life, a constant negotiation with an early grave. A tremor runs through the soles of his bare feet. It is not the echo of the stampede. This is different, slower, heavier, arrhythmic concussion that speaks of singular, immense weight. Kale freezes, his knuckles white around the stone. He scans the tree line, his large eyes wide with an inherited terror. A knowledge passed down not in words, but in screams and disappearances. The birds in the canopy fall silent. The insects cease their chirping. The entire world holds its breath. Then he sees it. By head, bigger than his entire body, rises above the ferns. Its skin is a tapestry of scars over scales the color of dried blood and river mud. A single eye, a black bead set deep in a mountain of bone and muscle, swivels and fixes upon him. The Giganotosaurus, the great southern lizard. Its jaws part slightly, and a sound escapes, a low, guttural hiss that seems to draw the very warmth from the air. He runs. The thought is not a choice. It is an explosion of pure instinct. His small legs pump, carrying him away from the colossal strides that follow. Each footfall of the great carnivore is a small earthquake, shaking loose stones and making the ground shudder. He does not dare look back. The sound is enough. The splintering of trees, the crushing of undergrowth, the hot, foul breath that seems to coat the back of his neck. This is the primal fear, the central truth of his existence and the cornerstone of hominid history. You are meat. You are prey. His only advantage is his size. He darts into a thicket of thorny vines that would rip at the giant's hide, but only scratch his own tough skin. He scrambles through a narrow crevice between two colossal boulders, a space the monster's skull cannot penetrate. But the Giganotosaurus is patient. It circles, its massive head blocking out the sky, its shadow a promise of oblivion. Careless lungs burn, his hope dwindling with the fading light. He is trapped. The crevice ends in a sheer rock face, a dead end. The hunter knows it. It waits, its shadow falling over him, the scent of rotten power filling his small world. The shadow over the crevice shifts, and for a heart-minded stopping moment, Kale believes the end has come, but the scent changes. The rotten minus meat stench of the predator is cut by a new aroma, one of crushed ferns, damp earth, and something musky, ancient, and vast from the side of the rock formation. A living wall of horn and bone emerges. It is a Triceratops, an old bull, its frail shield of scarred bone, its two brow horns worn to polish, lethal points. Its third nasal horn is a broken stump, a testament to battles fought long before humans had names for courage or despair. The creature is immense, a moving mountain of muscle and stubborn life. It had been resting in the shade of the rocks, hidden, and the commotion has roused it. The great herbivore turns its head, and one eye, dark and deep as a tar pit, fixes on the Giganotosaurus. There is no fear in that gaze, only a deep, abiding animosity. The Giganotosaurus lets out a frustrated roar, a sound that shreds the air. It takes a step back, its predatory confidence momentarily checked. Attacking a full-grown bull Triceratops is a gamble of the highest order. Those horns are not for show. They are weapons capable of disemboweling any attacker foolish enough to misjudge its charge. The dinosaur battle becomes one of posture and intimidation. The carnivore lowers its massive head, flashing a palisade of teeth like railroad spikes. The Triceratops responds by planting its feet, a 4-legged fortress, and letting out a bellowing snort that blasts dust from the ground. Its sharp, powerful keratin-no-US beak scrapes against the rock as it shifts its weight, an incidental sound of immense power. These are two of the most dangerous dinosaurs on the continent, knocked in a primal negotiation of risk versus reward. Kale is no longer the focus. He is an irrelevant footnote in a clash of titans. He presses himself against the cold stone, a spectator to a war as old as the world itself. The Triceratops has positioned itself directly in front of the crevice, its colossal flanker barrier between Kale and the hunter. It is not a conscious act of protection, not an expression of empathy for the small, shivering mammal. It is a strategic defense. The rock wall protects its back, allowing it to face its ancestral enemy without fear of being outflanked. Kale is simply in the lee of the storm wall. Yet, for a fleeting second, the bull glances back, its massive eyes swivels, and for the briefest of moments, deep meets Kale. There is no warmth, no kindness. There is only a shared reality. Both of them are on the Giganotosaurus' list of potential prey. They are united not by friendship, but by a common enemy. It is the first, fragile spark of understanding between two impossibly different forms of life. The flicker of humanity, or perhaps something even older, is simply the recognition of another's will to live, a truth that defines all prehistoric animals. The sun dies. Darkness floods the Badlands, bringing a deceptive coolness to the air. The standoff does not break. It transforms into a siege. The Giganotosaurus does not leave. It is a patient monster, a persistent shadow that circles their small fortress of stone and bone. Its occasional, rumbling exhalations are punctuation marks in the long, terrifying night. Kale remains pressed into his crevice, the stone at his back leaching his body heat. Beside him, a living mountain breathes. The Triceratops is a statue of vigilance. Its massive body is still, but Kale can feel the tension in it, the readiness of coiled muscle. This is not the panicked flight of prey. This is the stoic defiance of a veteran warrior. This long night becomes a crucible, forging a new link in the chain of human evolution. Kale's fear slowly gives way to a sharpened state of awareness. He is no longer just a terrified child. He is a part of this defense. His ears, more attuned to the subtle snaps and rustles of the undergrowth than the low-frequency rumbles the Ceratops senses, become an Ances, a stone dislodges somewhere to his left. He lets out a sharp, involuntary hiss through his teeth. The great head of the Triceratops swivels a fraction of an inch in that direction, its frail and impenetrable shield of osteodontocratic technology. It is a silent acknowledgement. Kale's senses are now an extension of the dinosaur's defenses. This is a profound shift, a pivotal moment in the grand evolution documentary of his kind. He is not hiding behind a beast, he is cooperating with it. The barrier between them is not just bow, but shared purpose. This silent, desperate pact, born in the heart of the prehistoric world, is a more significant invention than any sharpened stone. Dawn comes not as a glorious sunrise but as a slow, grey dilution of the blackness. The shapes of the cycad's ray minus emerge from the gloom. The sounds of the night hunters fade. The circling presence of the Giganotosaurus is gone, its patience finally exhausted by the unbreakable defense. It has sought easier prey. For a long while, neither Kale nor the Triceratops moves. The silence now is one of relief, not of tension. Finally, the old bull lets out a great, shuddering sigh. It turns its massive head and looks up the crevice. The dark, ancient eye rests on Kale, and for the first time, there is something other than instinct in it. There is a deep, weary acknowledgement. It gives a low snort, scrapes its beak one last time on the rock, and numbers away, melting back into the landscape it has dominated for a lifetime. Kale waits until its footsteps fade completely before he crawls out, blinking in the new light. He is alive. He has changed. He returns to his clan not merely as a survivor, but as a prophet of a new and terrifying possibility. This was more than one child's improbable survival. It was the birth of an idea so audacious it would one day reshape the ancient earth. In Kale's trembling mind, the world's rigid hierarchy of eater and eaten, of hunter and hunted, and cracked. He had not survived by running faster or hiding better, but by standing beside power, by finding a sliver of common ground in the shadow of a shared foe. This single night of terror and trust planted the seed of a revolutionary concept, that the monstrous forces of this world were not just obstacles to be overcome, but perhaps, in some distant future, tools to be wielded. The instinct for species cooperation, a flicker of empathy born from mutual desperation, would become one of humanity's most profound survival skills. It was a quiet turning point in the epic of prehistoric life, a moment that proves that the path of our ascent was not paved with superior weapons alone, but with the terrifying, brilliant courage to look a monster in the eye and see a potential ally. How many of our greatest strengths today were forged not in triumph, but in the shared, trembling darkness, waiting for the sun to rise? For in the echoes of a monster's roar and the quiet breath of an unlikely guardian, our story was not written in stone, but in blood, bone, and a sudden, shocking act of trust. But trust, once earned, can also be betrayed by a sky full of teeth.